Welcome to Midway Minute, everybody. I'm Scott Coral. As always, we have Kevin Kadick. And we bring in today Tyler Dunne of the Go Long newsletter. It's where you can find a lot of stuff that you want to know about pro football. Ty's worked with Bleacher Report and done other things. Ty, first question, because you're in Buffalo. And I think Bears fans know that our former quarterback signed there for a one-year deal. And the GM wants him to never see the field. What do you feel about Trubisky being in your city?
It's good to have a good quarterback competition in Buffalo, right? It's gonna be a battle in training camp. I in all honesty, I've always liked Trubisky. I think, and you guys probably know as well, covering the team day in and day out, as an outsider who got to know him when I was with Bleacher Report, probably one of the most likable guys in the NFL. Yeah. Just unbelievably friendly, real, genuine. Through the ups and the downs out there, it did seem like he was talking about it all. I mean, he's at a microphone, he's addressing this all. It's, there is a human element to this that you feel bad that it didn't work out for Mitch Trubisky in Chicago when there were some good moments. I mean, if they make that field goal, they're in the divisional playoff game. Who knows what happens, right? Who knows if that kick splits the uprights where the Bears are, where he is. But right now he's known as that quarterback taken ahead of Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, and the Bears are back to square one. So, yeah, it didn't work out, but I think this is a perfect situation for him. He's going to get really great coaching. I mean, Brian Daboll and the staff they have with Ken Dorsey and the weapons they have everywhere on offense, it can work. I think he can really resurrect his career in Buffalo because Josh Allen, I mean, he was not accurate in college, and we've been told, that's not something that you just learn. That's not something that you get overnight. He basically got it overnight in one offseason. He wasn't accurate his first 2 years in the NFL either. And he worked with Jordan Palmer in the offseason. He worked with the coaches in Buffalo, and now he's obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the league, or so we think. So, yeah, I think Trubisky absolutely can turn his entire career around in Buffalo. I don't think that's hyperbolic.
Yeah. So I'm right there with you, Tyler. I like Trubisky, the person. I still have a Trubisky jersey. I'm still going to wear it. I thought he was a great kid who wasn't a great quarterback. And playing in Chicago, that first part doesn't matter to a lot of people, right? So it ended unfortunately, but I'm hoping that things can kind of bounce back in Buffalo. Do you really think this is a one-year process where he can go in there and study and then get that starting gig in 2022? That's somewhere else, obviously.
Signing the one-year deal, that seems to be his plan to, maybe he gets a start. Maybe Josh Allen, twists his ankle or, obviously the Bills don't want that to happen, but he's an athletic guy, gets outside of the pocket. They want to cut him loose. So there could be a game here, game there, where he gets to show his improvements and maybe he gets that chance. I mean, we've seen it, right? Teddy Bridgewater, he made a lot of money after he played when Drew Brees was down. So
right,
I'm guessing that's probably his personal dream scenario, because you're not going to start in Buffalo anytime soon with Josh Allen around. But I just think, it's a long play for Trubisky, and it's a smart one to just surround yourself with a really good situation when it seemed like he had that in Chicago. Matt Nagy, we all thought he was behind Patrick Mahomes. We all thought maybe he was, but the play calling is not nearly as praised as it was initially. So who knows what he is as a quarterback coach? I sure as heck don't know. I think you can confidently say, though, that Buffalo has a pretty good system in place. That he's going to get better. He's going to improve. Maybe he is what he is, right? I mean, we got to say that. Maybe he just is a backup quarterback at best. But, if it's going to work out, I think that this is a good place to be.
Sure.
Working out seems to be one of the things that, and it's something you wrote about, I believe, yesterday. Aaron Rodgers in the Packers. Nobody knows exactly what that's going to be because I believe it was Charles Woodson, his former teammate, that said that this is heading for a nasty divorce. And that could work in the Bears' favor. So what is the problem right now in Green Bay and with Aaron Rodgers?
Depends who you ask. I think the Packers are looking at this as, all right, you've got 3 years left on your contract, Aaron. We don't have to do anything. They really don't. I mean, he's unhappy. I get it. He wants to be up a little higher, on the pay, that annual pay for quarterbacks, and maybe he should be with the season he had, but he's still getting paid a lot of money. He just re-upped a couple years ago. He's got the 3 years left on his deal. The Packers drafted Jordan Love to develop for 2-3 years. So when it got to that point, they can say, all right, we can transition. It's time. Jordan Love's ready. We saw this before when they moved from Favre to Aaron Rodgers. Nobody liked it. Everybody was outside Lambeau Field with the pitchforks. They're approaching Ted Thompson at the shareholders meeting, getting in his face, asking him to sign petitions. What the hell are you doing? Brett Favre just took you one game from the Super Bowl, and they made the hard decision then. I think they are willing to make the hard decision now. I don't think they're there yet, though. I think that the Packers know they don't have to do a damn thing. They really don't. Unless Aaron Rodgers is just going to demand a trade, right? Unless he says, I'm going to get out of here. I'm that mad. And you feel like, okay, to pacify the situation, to make him happy, you do have to rework his deal and give up on Jordan Love. But even then, I don't know if they would do that. I don't think they're ready to just give up on Jordan Love. You don't want to make Aaron Rodgers' contract in a way that, you're already trading Jordan Love for an asset. I think maybe a year from now, see where you're at a year from now. If Aaron Rodgers is the MVP again, if he looks like he has a good 3, 4, 5 years left, if you can get something for Jordan Love, maybe he shows some in the preseason game, maybe he gets a start here or there, maybe then you think about it. But right now, they don't have to do anything.
Yeah, Jordan Love could be the Jimmy Garoppolo of Green Bay if things work out like that. You run the Go Long TD newsletter. It's been great since launching it, and you made it. People can sign up at golongtd.com. Is that right?
Yeah, you got it. Yep, just golongtd.com.
Okay.
You can free email list, or if you'd like to subscribe, it's $7 a month, $70 a year, and
cool.
I've got a sales pitch, but I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to get that in there for you, but the reason I brought it up is because you made news with Allen Robinson right around the entire. I don't want to say it was franchise tag drama, because it probably really wasn't. We all knew where it was headed. But you have a relationship with Allen Robinson, and you were able to break some news there. Where do you see that situation right now? He accepted the tag, and now we're headed towards the next season. What is 2021 going to look like between A-Rob and the Bears?
It's all quiet right now. I haven't heard much since we ran that story, and we had Allen Robinson on one of our Zoom happy hours with subscribers, and he was candid there as well. And he's candid, and obviously everybody knows, all of your viewers and readers know, he hates the tag. He did not want this. Like, he did not want to stay in Chicago at this 1 year rate. I think he was willing to stay at a contract that met the market. And you look at his numbers, 2 wide receivers had more yards, I think, the last couple of years. Must be paid as a top 5 guy over 3-4 years. I mean, you can do the math. It's all out there. Chicago never was willing to come close to that ballpark, especially with this COVID offseason, COVID cap, whatever you want to call it. So bad situation all around. All I know is, at one point in our conversation, I asked Allen, are you going to follow suit? Are you going to do what the Deshaun Watsons and the Stephon Diggses and the Jamal Adamses, Jalen Ramsey, all these guys are kind of taking their future in their own hand, or trying to at that time. And he said, we'll see when we get there. Yes. I think he is willing to try to force a trade, get his way out, because he was kind of at his wit's end, which says a lot. He isn't like Diggs. He isn't like a lot of these receivers who are that vocal and volatile. And he is, we did another story earlier in the year on his Zen-like approach to the position. I mean, he's had bad quarterback play, bad play calling, bad teams around him, and he never has said much at all. I think he's at the point where he is willing to say something. He is willing to try to take his future into his own hands, and I think we'll probably see it at some point this offseason.
Yeah, as Bears fans, it's tough because he's one of the nice things that we have, and he's a great presence in the community. I mean, he's done a lot, especially during the pandemic, getting kids fed, getting kids, clothed. So from a Bears fan and a Chicago perspective, keep this guy around. But at the same time, you also want to see he's a good guy. You want to see him do well and go to a spot where he's going to have a quarterback throwing to him, and maybe he could win. So I think it's tough. But let's talk a little bit about the draft. We've got this coming up, and obviously quarterbacks are the story. even more so than usual years. Probably, we're looking at a possible 5 in the top 9 or even 10. If people lost their mind with the quarterback position, obviously it's the most important thing. But do you think are we at a point now where is it worth all these gambles, especially when you're using up top 10 picks?
I'm really glad you phrased it that way because I think so. I mean, this is the nature of the beast, and the NFL being this 365-day enterprise where there has to be a headline every day. We got to get jacked up about something every day. NFL Network, you turn it on, everybody's happy. Everybody's the best player ever, the best prospect ever, the best quarterback. I mean, this is what the league wants. They want the buzz. But I mean, come on. I mean, these guys do have flaws. They're not all going to be saviors. I mean, history tells you that maybe 1 or 2 of these guys is actually like a long-term franchise quarterback. It's not like all 5 of these quarterbacks are going to be perennial Pro Bowlers. Some are going to be complete busts. I don't know who they are. So it's crazy to me. Like the fans everybody's kind of losing their mind in that regard, but the teams are too, like you said. I mean, they're trading up a lot to try to get one of these guys. It's probably going to backfire, but I think that it's because the pressure is that high that if you don't have a quarterback, or you're San Francisco and you see that Jimmy Garoppolo can only take you so far, you're willing to move up and take that chance on somebody who might be a complete bust. Now, who is it? Justin Fields, Mac Jones, we can have that debate, but like it is a lot to move up and try to hit the bullseye when it's really hard to hit the bullseye at that pick. And I think that I don't know if I would have given up as much as they gave up. All that tells me is, in that situation itself, like Kyle Shanahan, there's a ton of pressure on him. I know we call him a genius. He's the best play caller in the NFL, all this stuff. Look, he's 29-35 as a head coach. And, that's a losing record. I get it, all the injuries, but like at some point he's got to win, and he's really putting his ass on the line with this trade. Like it's on him. He has the final say there, not John Lynch. It's Shanahan, and he's going to get his quarterback. He better hit. Or else I think, we got to talk about how good of a coach really is Kyle Shanahan, how good of an evaluator really is Kyle Shanahan, because he wrestled a lot of power away there.
Yeah.
I think, do the Bears move up? I mean, basically, I think we all know 1, 2, 3 is going quarterback. 4, 5, and 6 are probably going to go with weapons or something else. And it may all come down to whatever Detroit does at 7. Should the Bears even trade up, or should they just trade back, get more assets, and then hope for a quarterback in the 2nd or 3rd round? And probably the 2nd, because I'm not sure if they're going to get anything that they want in the 3rd.
Well, they put out the tweet that said QB1 Andy Dalton, so I there's nothing to see here, guys. I mean, it's Andy Dalton's the quarterback, but
we agree.
You know what though? I mean, it is funny. Like the Arizona Cardinals did the same kind of stuff with Josh Rosen, and then they end up taking Kyle Murray and trading Rosen. So things can change. They probably will operate with some desperation, like every team does. I mean, they were trying like hell to get Russell Wilson, and that didn't work out. So to answer your question, I would think that they would at least try. Like they would have some proposals ready to move up and take somebody, because I mean, Dalton is Dalton. I mean, it's no knock on him. He's fine, but he's not the answer. And just to bring it back to Allen Robinson, it's just, and I know it's hindsight, but it really would have made a lot of sense to just make him happy before last season. He wanted to sign a long-term deal then. Even if it's a little bit more than you want to pay a Chicago, pay him then, because a year later, they knew they'd be in the spot at quarterback. It was do or die for Trubisky. I mean, Nick Foles, like the possibility of them starting over there was very real. At least you have somebody to sell to a free agent or a quarterback trying to get out of a situation or anything. Like I don't know what they sell to a quarterback now. They don't, they got some bad contracts. They're dealing with cap problems. It's going to be tough.
That's what drives me nuts, Tyler. It's like so much of this stuff is self-inflicted. You don't extend Allen Robinson. So now you're in a position where you have to go into this draft and probably find a receiver to replace him down the road.
Yeah.
You cut Kyle Fuller. All of a sudden, now you have to find a quarterback on top of the line problems you have and on top of the quarterback problem that you've had for 60 years. It's just, as a Bears fan, it's maddening.
It is. and it's been this way for a while, right? Like it would be really difficult. I mean, there's a reason that a team like struggles at the most important position in sports in just new ways year after year, era after era. And to me, like that Allen Robinson decision, I mean, that's a slam dunk. And he is a guy, I mean, they should know what makes him tick. They should know if we pay this guy a lot of money, his foot ain't coming off the gas. Like he's going to keep busting as hard as anybody in that locker room. Also, there's the element of other players in that locker room seeing who you pay and who you don't pay. They've given some money to players that they probably shouldn't have given money to. I mean, the last couple of years, and they haven't paid Allen Robinson. If I'm sitting in there, I'm looking at this like, shit, like you're going to pay this guy, but you're not going to pay that guy. Like that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a big picture problem. And it all kind of does funnel back to quarterback one way or another. And them kind of getting to this point with Allen Robinson is led to this point where they're, I guess making a Hail Mary attempt at Russell Wilson and maybe making a Hail Mary attempt to move up in the draft. And they'll probably just have Andy Dalton this year and start over next year.
So you cover the league from a national perspective. When you talk to GMs and other front office personnel, what do people say about Ryan Pace?
That's a good question.
Is that one that you can answer? Like, like I think maybe I'm not saying you got to name names, but is that one that you can answer?
Yeah. I wouldn't say other GMs, just more so some scouts who have been around him or know him and know how the Bears kind of operate. Very stoic, very serious. Has a plan, but I think at this point there are some rolling of eyes at the fact that he is still a GM. I was just talking to a scout a couple of weeks ago who was kind of stunned that everybody in Chicago is just there still. Because you look at other front offices and that's not the case. You mess up at that position once, let alone twice, and you're out. Like,
I thought Trubisky was definitely going to cash his check on the way out of town. I mean, I really thought, okay, you make that move on draft day. That's putting your entire job on the line. And obviously the McCaskies really like him, and he's kind of the favorite son there, so that's bought him a lot of capital. But I think in Chicago, we're just as surprised.
I think that, you make a good point with the McCaskies. I feel like they would rather just kind of be, distant and just let things play. They don't want to be overly involved with the Allen Robinson stuff early last year. I think that they were kind of like, what's going on? All our fans are really ticked off. And, the message goes from him to Ted Phillips to Ryan Pace to the coaches. And they kind of talk to Allen Robinson, and Robinson's not going to hold out and do anything crazy. So then the message then goes back up, right? From Pace to Phillips to the McCaskies. Oh, we got it under control. We're going to figure this out. But the problem never really went away. And I think as ownership goes, they would rather just things kind of operate and stay away. They're not going to be involved in trying to start over. And that can be a good quality to have. I think a lot of ownership groups maybe are too involved and too trigger happy and are ready to fire everybody when they shouldn't. And there is something to be said for continuity. But continuity isn't always a good thing when you're losing and making the same mistakes over and over again.
Yep.
I can't disagree with anything that anybody said today. I mean, and me being the eternal pessimist that I generally am.
I know, man.
Like that's hard for me to say, but
we did some stuff yesterday, and you were completely pessimist, and now you're just kind of you're a little bit more zen today. You're like Allen Robinson zen.
Yeah, I guess that's a good thing. You mentioned the Bears throwing up a Hail Mary to get Russell Wilson. Was the Hail Mary a Trubisky Hail Mary, or was it an Andy Dalton Hail Mary? That's my question.
Trying to think of like an old school Bears quarterback here. Was Moses Moreno around at one point? Maybe Henry Burris?
Moses Moreno was around. So was like Bob Avellini and Mike Phipps.
Yes,
the Bears have gone through some names at quarterback.
Andy Dalton to me seems like a Chris Chandler or Jim Miller type of thing, right? A guy who had a little bit of a success, but probably isn't going to have a lot in his aging days.
That's I like that. I like that one a lot. And look, it's not all as terrible. I mean, I know I'm being pessimistic here and everything, but got some good players on defense still. I mean, Khalil Mack is a beast. I mean, absolutely, it's somebody you can build around. it's just, I mean, I think the defense, you still have some hope there, but I mean, offensively, like what's your identity now? Like, I mean, what are you going to do to score points, to get the ball across half field? And when Nick Foles watching that offense for 2 months, it was brutal. Like, I guess it'll be better than that with Dalton. It can't be much worse than that. But I still don't know what you hang your hat on. Like, who do you give the ball to? Like, if Allen Robinson somehow gets out of there, which we'll see how that plays out, but like, say he's not there, like who's your go-to guy? Run game, pass game, anything? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. Hopefully the offensive line goes through a little bit of a renovation. You can start moving the ball a little bit, and you come up with something. I think Cole Kmet, I think we saw some good things from him. So hopefully it's something, it's all going to be on Matt Nagy to figure things out, and it's really on him. So we'll see. Tyler, thanks so much for your time here. Hopefully we can do this a lot more as the season gets by. And again, people can sign up for your newsletter, which is absolutely worth the price of admission at golongtd.com. He's breaking news left and right. You can hang out with people who are cooler than Kevin Kadick and Scott Coral on his Zooms.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
And yeah, so thanks a lot. We want you to take care of good Mitch's. We want you to take good care of Mitch as well.
Hey, I think he's in a good place, and who knows? Maybe he turns it all around. We've seen quarterbacks turn their careers around, with the new team, so it could be a good spot.
All right. Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks so much, guys.